So here is a game from the candidates, right?
The candidates match between the former world champion Spassky, now that he lost the title against Fischer in '72 in Reykjavik, and here he has to play a candidates match against the rising star from the Soviet chess, Karpov, the young Karpov, who was already very strong, and they had a very beautiful match played in Moscow in '74, I think. And this is the first game of their match, won finally by Spassky, but very, very complicated. We'll see. And they play the Sicilian, the Scheveningen variation. This is the Scheveningen line, for black. D6, E6 immediately, the so-called Scheveningen variation. Here, white has many, many moves, you see. First of all, Keres attack with G4. This is the first idea. The second idea is to play bishop G5, trying to get in Richter-Rauser. After bishop G5, A6, A6, we have a normal position from Najdorf variation, for white. The other lines are with H3, with G3, a lot of moves for white. And Karpov preferred always to play the quiet move E2, bishop E2. That was analyzed at home by the Soviet team, by Geller and Karpov and many other very strong Soviet grandmasters. And it was a specialty for Karpov. He played always, or many, many important games, bishop E2. He played once also against myself in Moscow in '71, the Alekhine Memorial. He played bishop E2. We had a very, very difficult game. I'm playing tactically by both of us, and finally it was a draw. He proposed draw in a very complicated position. I accepted, of course. But it was different. I mean, bishop E2 and bishop E7. We'll see the difference during our game here. So castle, everything is theory until some moment, So F4, bishop, knight C6, bishop E3. He played like this also in their match against Polugaevsky. He had a candidate match against Polugaevsky before. And he could demonstrate that white is always a little bit better in any position. It's complicated, very positional like this, but always some small edge for white. Okay, E5. After E5, we have a very complicated game where black has to do something very quickly, to try to show that he has something. Because here, if he doesn't play like in their game, if white has time, E5 is all right. E5, knight B3. Now the idea for black, for instance, if you don't do something very quickly, he wants to play F5, controlling later on the square D5. If he has time to play F5, bishop C4, and put a piece in D5, is excellent for white, So therefore, black has to react very quickly, So, all right, A5 is good. Theory again. A4, knight B4, okay. So, bishop F3, it's a good move because black wanted to play immediately D5, If he has time to play D5, it's okay. Black has no problem at all, So bishop F3 is good, bishop E6, king H1, and queen C7. All right. So now, what to do? Now, if you play F5, he has time to put the bishop in C4. And it's very complicated, So rook F2 he played, no?
Yes.
Rook F2. All right. So rook D8 and rook D2. This was the idea, to put the rook in D2 against this idea with D5, And here, okay, bishop C4, knight B5. Well, he tries to do something positionally, and black has to react, of course. He doesn't let you to come like this, Takes, and now A4. Okay. Now knight C1. Now again, you have to do something very quickly because it threatens simply C3 and you lose the knight from B4. The knight has no squares, So what to do? The best move here is D5, but very complicated, of course. If it's good for black, But you have to realize that you have to do something quickly and maybe to accept a position where you have two pieces with white against the rook and one or two pawns. Very, very complicated, So he took in e5, knight takes e4. No, now c3. Now it's clear. He gives the rook from d2, but he gives also a pawn, but he takes two pieces. So who has a better game here, white or black? Black had to play d5 like this. He had to accept the fact that the position is very complicated and very unclear, very sharp. Okay, so more or less forced the whole thing. So queen takes. Now he took back. Now again, you have to do something very quickly with black. So he took the pawn. Knight d3. So queen d4. Rook a3. Okay. If you look at the position, it's very unclear. Now, this is this kind of position where the computer has to explain who is better, But it was human play. I mean, who was calculating better? It's very unclear again, no?
Yes.
Okay, so rook a3, okay, queen b6. Now he wants to take
Another
the second pawn, in b5. So, all right. So queen e2, rook e8. Maybe it was better to play, instead of rook e8, bishop f6. Very unclear, But okay. Now, bishop takes, and everything is forced, you see. He took in b4. Now what to do? Now, okay. This was white hope, I mean, he takes with check, and queen f3 check. Okay, king back, and now he took back. All right. The situation more or less clear now. I mean, he took one rook and two pawns. We have two passed pawns, B and A. And white has two pieces, the knight from d3 and bishop from b4.
Yeah.
It seems that the position is more or less even. But here, because of the activity, black is better. Now, Spassky tries to demonstrate until the end that his position is better. Now, Karpov realized finally that the position is more or less not really okay, and he tries until the end to defend, you see. But okay, Spassky's technique was very good until the end, and he could finally win the game, you see. It's very instructive. So, okay, h3. Rook d8, bishop d2. Not very pleasant to go back like this, but you have to. Okay, queen d5. Of course, if he takes in d5, is not so good because he has time to take and then push the other pawn in b5, and black is coming, you see. So, all right, b5 anyway. All right, bishop a5. From here, white has to try to resist somehow, you see. By best play by both. I mean, black always is better, but he has to demonstrate that he has a good chance to win, you see. Not very easy, especially against Karpov, who is a strong player. So, rook f3. So, okay, queen c4. You have to be patient with black, you see. Very beautiful game until now, but it's not very easy to win, you see. So, bishop d2. Okay, b4. So now, what to do? Queen b6. We have to react somehow, you see. Okay, b3. It seems fantastic for black, no?
Yeah.
But you'll see, until the end, it's not very clear. He tries everything until the end, Karpov, to save the game. So queen c2, bishop c3, of course, and queen e4. Okay, centralizing the queen. We have also some threats on the queen side. You have to be very careful not to lose a piece here with white, you see. Okay, queen d6, h6. Okay, bishop b2. Well, he did everything right because you can't push anyway the pawns for the moment, you see. We control the squares, b2, a3, and therefore it seems it's not so easy, but it's very pleasant for black anyway, So, okay.
So give up the bishop here?
He gave up the bishop, but it seems that he has something tactically, I mean, if you take in b3,
Yes.
If you came in b2, pardon, knight d3 is very good move. Now what to do with black?
Okay.
You see?
Yes.
You can also lose this with black, you see?
Yeah.
If you are not careful. So queen f5, you have to be very careful. So queen c6, and we start all over again, yeah? Okay, queen d7. I mean, he wants an end game. I mean, every endgame is winning for black. Yeah? Okay, rook e7. For a few moves, he has to wait. Okay, and now queen b7, of course, very good. And he took the pawn. And now,
Took one pawn.
yeah, and now rook e4. Now you realize that you lose a piece with white. See?
You lose the knight.
Yeah, you lose the knight. So you have to accept the fact, and you take there. All right. So he didn't trade queens, because if he trade queens, it's more difficult. With queen on board, it's better for black, because you have some attacking chances and exchange up, for black, finally. So rook b4, queen e6, but you have to realize, you have to calculate very well, especially in time trouble, it's very complicated, you see. So rook takes, and now what to do? Rook g3, the last hope, I mean, trying something on the queen side, on the king side. Okay, rook b6, now he realizes the advantage. It's not very difficult, but against Karpov, it's a problem to win such a winning position, yeah? Queen check, king h7, very good technique from Spassky in that phase, the end. Queen e3, rook d6, queen c5. All right, queen c7, queen b4. Okay, until the end, very precise,
Were a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, well, he tries until the end. I mean, therefore he's so strong. I mean, you have to beat me, even if you have a better game, you have a winning position, but you have to prove it, So he took. Knight g3. Now, every endgame, if you can, now he wants to trade queens, because any endgame is winning for black, you see. With the exchange up, yes, of course, he's winning. So queen h4, and now back, of course, h5. And now we want to trade queens, in any position. So queen c5, rook d4. Now black wants to mate you with rook h4 check,
Yeah.
So queen e7, the only move. Queen g4, of course, doesn't let you. Queen e5, and now has time to give one check, and now finally he can trade queens, and now queen d4 check, and now he resigned, I think,
Yes.
Yeah. Very instructive, you see, little by little, you see, but
Yeah.
very, very complicated. It was exceptional because both played very well at the end, even if the position was clearly better for black. Karpov tried to resist until the end, you see.
It was a lot of
very good game from Spassky. He won this first game, but finally he lost the match, and Karpov became candidate, and the Soviets had hopefully, they thought maybe he has a good chance against Fischer.
That was the only win against
the only one, yes. He won this
Karpov.
game, then he had a few draws, and finally Karpov won 4 games. And
4 against 1.
Yeah, 4 against 1.
Nice.
And here we can say that Karpov's career at the highest level began with this victory. I mean, winning this match, he became candidate, and he could play against Fischer. Finally, we know what happened, and unfortunately, they didn't have the match. But in my opinion, if he had to play Fischer in that period, has no chance at all. Yes. Nobody had a chance against Fischer in that time. But okay, the game was very beautiful and very instructive.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu.
You are.